Well, guys, Bad Batch new episode dropped last night / this morning. For some of us, and let's react. Who's going first?
I'll go first. I think it was a better filler episode. It felt like a filler until like the last 6 minutes of the episode. But I think it was a necessary filler. So I had, my overall reaction, I don't know if I have a lot to say. I loved, obviously we'll talk about things in greater detail as we go. I loved the reunion at the end. I think the reunion checked the boxes that, again, like we've talked about, live action Star Wars has not been able to capture, um, especially Omega being reunited with Wrecker and Hunter. But yeah, outside of that scene for me, we're freeing we have Omega playing chess or playing cards for the episode, and then we have save the space animals, and then the reunion. So again, it was a good episode. I liked the episode overall reaction, but those last 6 minutes definitely brought it home for me.
Like the Last Jedi, save the animals part, right?
yeah,
Save the horses, the space horses.
Yeah.
Hey, that's different. Don't even bring those up in the same sentence, bro.
Dude, it was different, bro. We got to get our boy
slander
Batcher,
in the chat
okay?
is not accepted.
Yeah, I'm a Badger fan.
I didn't even announce that we have a special guest today. He hasn't been on the pod since episode 1.
Episode 1. Happy to be back. It's been a while. I'm grateful to be here.
What did you think, Nate?
I enjoyed the episode, honestly. It wasn't anywhere as far as like epicness or anything like that of the prior ones. I don't think for me, but kind of like Jake said, it still moved the plot forward though. Like it had a lot of stuff that was like, they're just trying to get off this planet for most of the episode. But I feel like it wasn't a filler episode in the sense of some of the season 2 fillers, where it's like, hey, I have this random side quest that you're gonna have to go do to try to make money, and it's not gonna do anything to like progress the story. So I liked it. I thought it was interesting how the boys are getting back together so quickly in the series. It's not something I would have expected going into the season 3. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of crazy because we're on episode 4, right? And there's going to be 15 episodes, right? So we're already a good chunk of the way in the show, technically, even though it's only shown twice, like for 2 weeks already. And so it's like I'm actually happy that they're getting together so close, like so, I guess relatively shortly, because we're going to see a lot more of them together. And that's what we've been wanting since episode 1 of season 1, right? We got them all together that one time. We're excited. We're hyped to see what they're going through. And then all of that stuff happens. Crosshair leaves. And then the rest of that season, and then season 2, we get just the partial batch, right? Yeah. Everyone but Crosshair. And so it's good to see it. I mean, we're still going to get partial batch this season. Rip Tech, but
I don't hear remorse in your voice.
Right, I'll add tears in the post
editing.
Yeah. But I'm excited to see like how Crosshair's dynamic, because we already see like at the beginning of the episode he was kind of hesitant. He was like, I'm ready to leave Batcher. Like, we got our credits, like let's get going. I was about to shoot first and ask questions later, but I'll do things that Omega's doing, right? But he kind of starting to like grow more into like to be with Omega and kind of like be around her and kind of get used to her. And so I'm excited to see where that relationship he has with her kind of connects with Wrecker and Hunter, right?
Yeah. Well, I really liked it. I agree. It was a great. I just appreciated a good story. It's a piece of the story, and I think we weren't able to appreciate these kind of episodes in season 1 the way we do now, because the story has gotten farther along. So when they were a season 1 episode, we were like, oh, like this isn't doing anything. But now, because there's so much weight in Crosshair and Omega's relationship, Omega getting back to Hunter and Wrecker, the fate of the cloning and all that stuff. Like, I feel like there's just so much more weight, and that's why we care about it more. So overall, I really liked it. In regards to the animal stuff, I kind of took the approach that like the animals or like Batcher kind of represents the clones still on Tantus. Omega keeps mentioning to Crosshair they need to go back and save them, and Crosshair is like, absolutely not. We're leaving them. Like, I'm never going back to Tantus for any reason, you know? And so I think it was just a micro version of their debate via the animals, because Basher was taken. She said, we're going back. He said no. And then ultimately it was cool to see in the end how they compromised, right? So first thing that I was literally like freaking out about this morning when I was watching it, I think that planet is Gorel. I truly do. Does anyone have any disagreement with that? Because they said the town of Lao. I've already looked up everything, Jake. There's nothing to talk about it.
Bro, I'm double checking you, bro. Let's go.
There's nothing. I've already been looking. But the spaceport looks identical. The ships in the air are the same ones in Rebels, and it's the town of Lao, not the planet Lao. Gorel, everything in Star Wars Rebels that happens in Gorel is in the city. It's called Gorel City on the planet Gorel. So that's my hot take, that they're throwing in a little Easter egg for us that's actually on Gorel where they crash landed. Thoughts on the town, thoughts on the city, anything about that, or we can just move on. That's just my take of.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't think about Gorel specifically. I think it definitely could be. But I definitely did get a strong Rebels vibe from this episode. And like we were talking about, right? It's, for some of us, it felt like filler. You brought up the aspect of, them foreshadowing a lot of, the clones are in the cages. The clones are like Batcher, right? And they need to save all the clones, whatever, right? But the whole aspect of, we crash landed on this planet, we got to find the spaceport, we got to get to these different places. It had a very Rebels like feel to the episode, so it wouldn't surprise me if they chose Gorel as the location to have the episode. So
yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Jake, on that, because it did very much feel like Rebels, right? Where they're kind of having a hideout, they're in this town, they have to kind of go undercover to not get spotted by the Imperials, and they have to find a way to escape, right? Like, they're crash landed, they can't go back the way that they went, and so they have to kind of come up with the creative means to escape. And it was kind of cool because like the Imperial officer that they end up meeting up with, he's a lot different than any of the Imperial officers that we are used to, right? Very like slender, slim guys, but this one he's a bit bigger. And you see that kind of not just in his physical appearance, but like kind of his attitude, where he's just like, oh, you played well, Omega. Like, you're a really good player, but now, sorry, gambling's illegal, so give me my money back, right? And so it's like he's almost just so corrupt that it's like it's filled him up to the point where he can just get away with anything. He's like, you know what? I think I know who you guys are, but I'm gonna play it in a way where I'm gonna be able to like scam you guys. And so it was a little bit different of like in a sense where it's like, oh, I'm here to follow like the imperial code to the letter. But instead he was just like, no, let me fill my own pockets as well, right? Collecting money from the barkeep as well as, and so it introduced this interesting aspect of like the corruption of the Empire, where it's honestly like this officer, he's probably not giving that money to the Empire. He's probably taking it for himself, and he's probably, he's pocketing it. And so it just shows that there's that the Empire, despite how loyal you are to the Empire, there's some people in the Empire who are trying to fill in their own pockets, and they see the Empire as kind of like, well, they're winning right now, let me join up with them, but because I know it'll be good just for me, right? I'm not here to help them, they're here to help me. And so I just thought that was kind of an interesting aspect to it.
Yeah, that could speak to the strength of the reach of the Empire in wherever that planet is, like how strong is their arm there? How close is it to the centralized power of things? Like, because it seems like that guy, I think they said he was a captain. and he was the guy, like he was the guy over that area. So to your point, Lucas, I think it's interesting, and that might speak to, they don't have like an admiral nearby, they don't have a general nearby keeping tabs on him. So he's kind of, his own agenda is able to he has that space, to implement his own agenda, which, he'd let him go. So I wonder if we probably won't see that planet again. I don't know, we might, but I mean, he's gone. But I wonder if the reach to that planet might be tightened because of that.
Yeah. Well, the only other huge thing to talk about, we've kind of already walked through what happens. They escape they crash land, earn some money, and then make their escape. When then that big last couple minutes where Omega's reunited with Hunter and Wrecker, and part of me, when she was like, because Jake brought up the whole reuniting aspect that animation always kills and then live action just can't get right. I was having a hard time picking up on that because I was so worried that Crosshair was just gonna like leave in the ship because he didn't come out with her. And so I was like, oh shoot, like what's gonna happen now? But it ultimately turned out the way I hoped it would, and I'm excited to see these next few episodes where they're regaining trust of each other. So, any last thoughts on these last couple minutes before we give our scores and move on?
I mean, I really like just the tearful like reunion with Omega. That was the cool thing, because even though I was like, Tech was always the one that's kind of like, stone cold, no emotions, but the rest of them showed emotions, right? And it was cool to see how much we were reassuring her. It's almost like a genuine conversation, right? Like she goes and hugs Wrecker, and goes and hugs Hunter, and she just has this real conversation where it's like, I missed you guys. And he's like, we never stopped looking for you. He's like, all of these months have gone by, but we have been doing everything tirelessly to make sure that we can find you. And it just felt real. It just felt genuine. And so you could feel that in that conversation. And I thought that was great. It just killed it.
Yeah, I think I agree. I loved how, she came off the ship, ran right over to Wrecker, gave him a big hug. Same with Hunter, right? And then actually, like, I was wondering if there would be at least more of an acceptance from Hunter and Wrecker when Crosshair showed up, right? Like, now, okay, Crosshair showed up with Omega. Are they friends again? Are they not friends again? And I'm pretty sure the last time that they've actually seen Crosshair, Hunter and Wrecker, the last time they've seen Crosshair was the end of season 1 on Kamino, when he's still with the Empire. So it's been a long time since they've seen him. He's still hunting them down, or he was hunting them down at that point, right? And so obviously there's going to be some tension there, and I was happy that we got that tension. Again, kind of a cliffhanger going into the next episode, but obviously I'm hooked, and I'll watch that. And I think the only other call I had from that scene, when they flew down to the planet, I was getting like mad Skyrim vibes. Again, Jason and Nate, you guys got to play Skyrim, but the like moons in the background, the planets in the background or whatever, it just looked like it was something straight out of Skyrim. So again, I love when Star Wars goes very creative, when they give us a new planet, a new location. Because again, we fall in love with the galaxy itself, and being transported there. So I thought that was awesome.
I can give a little bit. I think you guys have touched on pretty much everything I had from the reunion. The one other thing I had with this episode is that it just spoke to me of Omega's character development. It's been pretty cool to see. Like, honestly, first while of the show, she just annoyed me so much. But it's cool to see how she's matured, but at the same time, she's still this innocent little kid who, is asking Crosshair mid trying to get what's the dog's name? Batcher, I think,
Batcher.
right?
Batcher, yeah.
Yeah, mid trying to get Batcher back. She's like, should we save all the rest of these animals too? He's like, don't push it, right? So I don't know. Maybe Jason doesn't remember that. You're giving me a crazy look. But I just think it's cool. She's contributing, but it still shows she's this little kid. And so I don't know. I like her development so far as well.
Well, let me add to that,
Jason thinks I'm
Nate.
crazy.
No. I actually completely agree with that because I just thought it was funny because you brought up the Last Jedi reference, but Crosshair made that not a real reference because he didn't
Yeah.
want to save the animals.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, exactly. And then the whole like letting the animals go was just a diversion, right? It was just to like help
Yeah.
them get out of there. So I don't mean like that specific, like save the animals, but just in general, you can see hints of those things.
Yeah. And I'll add on to that too a little bit with Crosshair wanted to fight because that's what makes him different, right? That's
Yeah.
what makes him special. Tech was smart, Hunter has senses, Wrecker strong. He is a dead shot, right? And you actually notice actually in both the last two episodes, he misses a couple times and
Yeah.
it pisses him off. I don't
Yeah.
know if
Yeah.
either any of y'all caught that.
He's
And so
got
it was
that hand
cool to see it
thing
again.
he's dealing
Yeah, because
with.
of his hand thing. He's like kind of lost his shot. And so
Yeah.
it was cool to see her compromise and understand, hey, like he's good at this. Let's let him, carry some of the load instead of just trying to negotiate everything, right? Because she's trying to toe the line of bribery and theft like constantly, right? And he's just like,
Yeah.
we need to mow these people down. And if you, I can't help you if you don't let me do that because I have no other skills. So,
Right, and
Yeah.
he says that. He goes, "My talents are being wasted."
Yeah.
yeah,
Makes
Yep.
that comment, and it's that like that. It totally just goes into it because you're like, yeah, he's like, I'm not here to like I can shoot first. I'll ask questions later. Like that's what I'm good at, and that's a cool like dichotomy between the two because like Omega's like, no, let's talk to them. Let's try to figure out like a diplomatic like a diplomatic way to get past this. And he's like, no, I'll just kill all these dudes and we can get a ship. Like, no problem.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Lucas, what do you got it out of 10?
I'm gonna give this a 7.5 because I really like the progression it gave the story because again, it wasn't like a filler like back in season 1 or 2 where it's just like a side quest, like Nate was saying. But it was like, okay, they crash landed, they had to figure out how to get to Hunter and Wrecker, and they're trying to rendezvous with them. So they have to do what they have to do. So I really liked that in that aspect. I just felt like it was a little slow on some of the aspects, like some of the story aspects. So that's why I don't give it like a full like an 8. But yeah, 7.5 for me.
I can go
Jake?
next.
Jake, either one.
Yeah. I think for this episode, I would probably go a little bit lower. Part of me because there's no crazy reveal. I'm thinking like 6.5, maybe 7. I think the reunion in the end definitely bumps it to a 7 for me. So I'd go 7 out of 10 total. I think we've already talked about everything in the episode. I think they killed the ending. It was amazing. Loved seeing the happy reunion between Wrecker, Hunter, and Omega, and again, kind of the apprehension with Crosshair showing up. So I'm excited to see how that plays out in the next episode.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd probably say about 7 for similar reasons. It was a sweet episode. I usually lowball these kind of things as far as rankings, anyways. So, but yeah, great episode. Not anything to like. It's not the episode I'm going to go back and watch after the season's over. If I just want to watch an episode, but it's still a good one, progresses and has some cool stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 7.5, and pretty much agree with everything said. Other than I'll add that like this episode also had some fire songs in it, fire soundtrack, which we didn't talk about. So I'll add that. But yeah, 7.5. Great progression. And if I'm picking a single episode to watch out of Bad Batch, I'd agree with you, Nate. But like I don't remember the last time I sat down and watched 20 minutes of TV. And just like picked one episode. Usually it's just like sitting in the background and just playing, right? I pick like an arc or something. So I definitely will rewatch this season. In the first 4 episodes, it's already been locked in as a rewatchable season. So
yeah.
But all right, well, catch us next week for the next episode. But thanks, guys.
Okay, see you, boys.
Bye.